This is the first of a series of short videos from what I'm calling the Poet News Network. These are video versions of my blog, current blog, which is written on the Insane Journal blog system. This first one is called Thinking the Unthinkable. There is a science fiction novel, The Mote in God's Eye, by Larry Niven and Jerry Pournelle, in which an alien race chides human beings for the vain belief that every problem has a solution, which in their view and experience of the aliens is often not the case. People who believe this, the aliens call Crazy Eddie. Can unreasoning hope be blind? In the case of love, in its first stages, this is often true. So logically, it could be true that our hopes of solving certain environmental crises is just one of these vain beliefs that all problems have a solution. Why? The problem is not that we can't solve problems, but rather, and whether or not those in control of the levers of civilization have the political will. It's a social political power problem, not a scientific technical problem. For example, some scientists are able to show that the excess of carbon dioxide in the atmosphere can be fixed, that is, sequestered, by simply allowing grasslands to once again dominate areas where monocultures have taken over, monoagricultures. Changing our agricultural practices will let plants fix the excess CO2 without our having to draw back from CO2 emissions problems. Not to say we shouldn't get them improved and get an improved technical discipline as regards CO2 emissions. It's just that there are wise ways to take the excess out of the atmosphere, which means we technically haven't yet crossed the tipping point of human-caused climate change. This is, of course, it doesn't solve the problem of the absence of the necessary will, the political will. That's what's missing. That would take a revolution, and a revolution is unlikely to happen because people are not up to that level of violence and risk-taking. From the level of philosophical thinking, Nassim Nicholas Taleb's book Antifragile reveals the underlying failure of thinking among corporate and political leaders who mistrust the random and the chaotic. That is, they are control freaks precisely because our universities have not appreciated the role of the random and chaotic in all processes of nature. The more we control, the more rigid the system. The more rigid the system, the more it is capable of failure, i.e., by its very rigidity, it becomes increasingly fragile. Where random and chaos prices arise in living systems, and the best examples, these can be creative and reactive instead of stuck in fixed structures. So what is happening then? Well, the collapse is coming because people are lacking the political will, whether it is Congress or the citizens unwilling to engage in revolutionary tactics. The identical fear of disorder actually makes the integrated systems of civilization even more fragile and prone to failure. That's the collapse part. Once the collapse gets far enough along, then our ability to over-control ceases, and nature herself will restore the grasslands, taking the CO2 out of the atmosphere anyway. Along that way, we may see our civilization go the way of the dodo into extinction. I don't really believe that, but there are those that do. What we can't do, or if we can't do, nature will Crazy Eddie us all. Some human beings will survive. It will not be fun. Then we'll get to do it all over again, just as the Sci-Fi Channel predicted in its update of the Battlestar Galactica series. Those who don't know history are doomed to repeat it, apparently endlessly, over and over and over and over.